we love these brands. We love Warby Parker. We love Allbirds. We love Vice. We love Harry's. We love Casper. This generation is more interested in buying the newcomer to a space than going with the older brand. I think there's a mentality in our generation that doesn't trust the big brands, because there's been so many Kickstarter brands that come out and kind of call BS on what's going on and provide an incredible product at a better price. And I think our generation is looking for that. We've even had customers say, oh my gosh, Stix, there's finally a Kickstarter brand in golf clubs. This is what I was looking for. Somebody's going to come in and disrupt, come in and do something differently. I'm tired of seeing all this overhyped tech on the Golf Channel. People are literally going on Kickstarter and looking for the brands that are coming in to disrupt and do things differently.
Golf Smarter, number 797. This week's episodes of Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are brought to you by dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter. Get a 7-day free trial and 15% off your membership with checkout code GolfSmarter. Stix golf clubs are well positioned to be an industry disruptor with the CEO, Gabe Coyne.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Gabe.
Hey, Fred, thanks for having me.
Thanks for reaching out, for your company to reach out. This is a fascinating story. I am always intrigued by new and small golf manufacturers that come along that don't get a lot of exposure in the main press. And that's mainly because you're competing with some really big numbered companies. But your company is called Stix, S-T-I-X, and you manufacture golf clubs. I'm going to leave it wide open there and let you tell the story.
Great. Thanks, Fred. I like what you just said about, how a lot of these smaller brands come in and they try to compete, but they're big brands. I think it's also interesting how all the smaller brands come in. And I think we're very different. I think it's also interesting to think of these big brands as big. After I got into this, I was a little bit like, the golf industry is only the golf club industry is only a $2 billion addressable market in the US. Globally, it's more like 10 billion. But when we talk about these companies, TaylorMade just sold again for 1.6 billion. And we know Callaway's big money. They acquired Topgolf for $2 billion. Last year was crazy in golf post-COVID. Rounds played per year was up 15%, which is crazy because golf courses were closed for part of the year. So
Right.
When they did open back up, the volume was so high, it was up for the year. Golf equipment sales were up 50% year over year in July 2020.
Amazing.
So golf was on fire. So I'm sure the owners of TaylorMade are like, okay, now's the time to cash in. So I think probably since 2017, there's been a slight decline in participation. And when I first started Stix, I got some concern from investors of, why would you go start a business in golf? Isn't that a declining market? And this was probably late 2019 when we were working on the concept and doing some market validation. And we were getting a lot of traction and interest in our very early experiments. And the experiment was basically, well, we can go back, this kind of backs into the story of Stix, and I'll do a little flyby on that related to this topic. But I basically went shopping for golf clubs, and I was blown away at the landscape of the industry. I could get a starter set of Strata for $250, and if I wanted the big brands, it was $2,500. And I felt like, what the heck's going on here? It's all made of the same, very similar materials. What is all the hype that's going to make me spend 10x? And I wasn't willing to spend 10x. So we basically ran some market validation to see if we could find an audience out there that agreed with us that, hey, I'm happy to spend $700 or $800. I don't want to buy Strata because I'm not a beginner. I've played forever. So I'm not going to buy Strata, but I'm not going to spend $2,500. And the big brands basically don't care about this middle market. They're kind of like, we'll give you a starter set to get you in, and then we want you to make this leap. And if you don't make this leap, we don't care. Go buy used.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
And the big brands focus on the top 5 million golfers, the richest 5 million golfers that buy year over year. So as you can see in all the marketing, all the big brands are trying to convince that group that this year's model is light years ahead of last year's model, which just has not been true for 5 to 10 years. It's very incremental progress. So
I love when they give you a new color head and say, "Oh, our brand new model is out." Yeah, you painted it white.
Right. You ever watch Tron?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, "Well, what's new this year?" And they're like, "We put a 10 on the box."
Right. So yeah, they have to recycle their line. They have to come up with new stuff every 6 months.
Right.
Or they're out of business, and they spend so much. And who knows? Do they spend more on R&D or on marketing? We can pretty much guess where they're spending their money.
Yeah, and your early question was about your interest in new brands trying to enter the market, and because everyone in golf is so, let's say, brainwashed, that everybody thinks in order to sell anyone a golf club, you have to convince them that you've got the latest, best technology. So even the little guys who try to come in, they basically need some new angle on tech. And every early journalist interview we had always started with like, Stix, so excited to see this new brand entering the market. Tell us about your technology. And we were always like, that's not our play. That's overplayed. We are about price, style, and quality, because we believe 5-year-old tech that's just high quality materials, looks amazing, and performs really well at a fair price has a huge market, because those are the people buying used. Those are the people not buying. So even when you look at the $2 billion US annual equipment sales, we're hoping to activate an audience outside of that. We're not trying to just chip away at that market the same that everybody else is doing. We're reactivating people who haven't bought in 10 or 20 years because the options are just not good. We have a Facebook group, and we did a competition where we had our customers and fans post photos of their sets that they want to upgrade from, and we gave a set to the person with the craziest looking old set. And we just got unbelievable photos of people's 20, 30-year-old clubs that they're still playing with, because for a variety of reasons: cost, the complicated buying process, the style of new clubs, or just not believing it's going to make a difference. I golfed with a guy last week in Denver who owns a hockey team, owns a venture capital firm, and he's playing with 30-year-old clubs.
No.
Yeah. So it's not even a money thing. It's just either you feel cool for using old stuff, or you just feel like you're being duped to go spend $3,000, and you literally don't believe it's going to change your game at all, which I think is a lot of what's out there. So by the time you're like me and you're finally going you're finally going shopping for new clubs, like, what's the buying criteria? For me, it was never, I want the latest technology. I need something that's going to hit the furthest and the straightest and fix my slice and whatever. It was never that. It was just, give me something that looks great. I'm a designer. I want something that looks great, performs well, and is priced reasonably. Because no matter how much money I make, a $3,000 purchase is still, you got to compare that against other things. Is that a trip I could take? And you have to care about golf enough to spend that much, right? Like, for a large audience out there, golf is a casual, fun activity with friends, not something I take so seriously that I'm making a large investment to lower my score, right? For many, it's a casual activity, and that market is underserved.
Yeah, I played with somebody last week. I'd never played with the guy, I'd never met him, but he was telling me, "Oh yeah, I played a lot when I was a kid, and but I gave it up. I got bored and I quit. But now I'm really getting interested in playing again, so I'm using my brother's clubs." Right? Yeah. It's like, and he goes, "But these are gonna be fine for now." It's like, or the one that really drives me crazy is when people are like, "Yeah, I just went and bought this out of the used bucket at the store there." Yeah. It looked good. Like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. And sometimes that'll work, sometimes that won't. What we're trying to do is make it that simple. Hey, I went and I bought Stix clubs. It's just good stuff. I can kind of trust the brand that they're making a quality product. The price is good. It looks amazing. And we're also trying to simplify the process, because when you go buy something out of a used bin, we want to make it simple, but it is a little complicated. You buy it out of a bin, you don't know the height, you don't know the flex, and that will have an effect. And you may like golf less because it's too short, it's too long, it's weighted weird, and we don't believe in the ultra fitting process for most people. I've never been fitted until recently when we did a fitting as a team, just so the team could see what the process is like. But we offer height variance, flex variance. We try to make that as clear and simple as possible to our customers, what that means, because that can be a barrier to entry. Is just, whoa, why are you giving me all these options? Now it's confusing. Now it's overwhelming. I'm out. I'm just going to stick with the clubs I've got. You go to many golf sites out there, even these smaller brands trying to enter the market, and you immediately feel intimidated and inferior to even be capable of purchasing golf clubs, because you got loft and lie adjustment options on checkout. You've got shaft length, shaft stiffnesses, graphite versus steel. And in many cases, you have a drop down with 50 different brands on a golf purchase page, on a set of clubs, on a single club. And many of them even let you choose every individual club that you want. Because for the ultimate golfer, that's what they want. But for the majority golfer, that is just confusing.
Fascinating story. I want to hear more about it, but we'll take a time out and we'll be right back. This episode of Golf Smarter is brought to you by DynamicGolfers.com. I know this may seem like a strange segue, but I want to share with you an update about playing with single-length irons that I've done over the past 20 rounds since January. I've taken them out of my bag and returned the clubs that I was fitted for a couple of years ago. As much as I've enjoyed these single-length irons, and in many ways the theory behind them still makes sense to me, I just couldn't get comfortable with striking or the ball flight with the longer irons. Obviously, when I say longer, I don't mean the length of the shaft. I'm referring to distance, mostly over 145 yards. But what surprised me the most in my transition back to my Ping G yellow dots was increased distance. The first round back this weekend, I flew greens with my 5, 6, 7, and 8 irons because I was hitting them 10 to 15 yards further than ever before. That's unheard of for golfers my age. I could attribute these to the changes that I've made to my swing with the help of Perfect Motion app, but I don't think that's the full story. I honestly believe it's because my body is looser and more flexible because of my daily 15 to 20 minute workouts using Dynamic Golfers. As of this morning, I've completed 48 workouts over the first 2 months of programming, and clearly it is making a difference for me. Over the past year plus of lockdown, my exercise routine has mostly been walking the dog in the morning and walking the golf course a couple times each week. But my body was feeling stiff, my sleep was affected, and I wasn't comfortable. And my hitting distances were clearly being affected. Dynamic Golfers has taken the most effective positions of yoga and developed a long-term daily program specifically designed to help golfers become more flexible, fluid, and comfortable with every swing. I encourage you to check them out for yourself, to follow their daily video routines. They're only 15 to 20 minutes long, and then track your progress because you will start seeing results within 4 weeks. For only $9.99 a month, you can join golfers worldwide that make dynamic golfers part of their daily routine as well. There's even a custom landing page for my listeners at dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter. Go there now and get 7-day free trial and 15% off your membership when you check out using the coupon code GolfSmarter. Please check them out today and let me know what you think. But don't forget, take advantage of the discount offer, 7-day free trial, 15% off your membership when you use the checkout code GolfSmarter at dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter. Gabe, I just love the name Stix. I just think of, I got some new sticks. Oh, hey, look at you bringing your sticks? I mean, it's just the term for it. How'd you guys come up with that name? Did you do market research? Did you focus groups? Or it's like, dude, I got this idea.
Not on the name. We were super early on. A lot of things with Stix happened so fast that we didn't think everything through as thorough as we could or should have. And we were just like, hey, I want to get this experiment up. Let's get something. So like, instead of running like a trademark search or doing something, because this was born so grassroots. It was literally just get on Google domains and see what's available, brainstorming things related to golf. And when we found the .golf domain, which I don't know when that went live, but it's Stix.golf, suddenly we were able to get something nice and short versus trying to get a .com. So it's basically as simple as that, brainstorming and searching domain names like, ooh, Stix.golf, that's cool. Boom, done. And I'm a designer. I've been a visual designer and been involved in branding since 2000. So I whipped up a logo quick, which still lives on. It was this, done within the first week of the idea of the company. We actually swapped out our mark recently, just to make something more trademarkable. But yeah, Stix was born by just searching for available domain names.
Now, I can't believe you said I'm graphic designer. Are you not a serial entrepreneur? I mean, is this your first company?
It actually isn't. And
okay.
So the
way you're talking, this is not a graphic designer talking. This is a guy with experience in getting companies started.
Yeah. So I went to school for design, and my career has been a 50-50 of visual design and software development, which still doesn't really translate to this.
Nope.
But
not yet.
Yeah. I co-founded a company in Seattle in 2012 called Influence Mobile, where I was the CTO, technical co-founder, and we built an advertising platform and mobile app platform for fan reward apps for pro sports and celebrities. So we had Jillian Michaels, Jeff Gordon. We had apps for all the pro sports that basically whoever has a following, they would promote their version of the app, and their fan base would come in, they'd earn rewards by doing different activities, and then they could redeem prizes on the platform. That evolved into us building a proprietary ad network that today outperforms Facebook Audience Network for its partners. So Influence Mobile is still alive and well. In 2018, I moved out of the day-to-day there and went and joined a venture studio in Chicago called Proto Ventures. So I had run a creative studio before Influence Mobile. Influence Mobile was my first kind of tech startup. After, basically at my creative studio, I was building prototypes for a lot of startups, and most of them were courting me to be their technical co-founder if this prototype got funded, basically. And so Influence Mobile was one of those that I worked with early on, and decided to go with Dan Todd because I had confidence that he could, as the CEO, help build this thing to what it is today, which has been quite the success. And so then onto the venture studio, where I had the chance to work with a bunch of large enterprises on their internal innovation groups and help them launch, validate, and prototype new products and concepts. And we also at Proto, we also worked with early stage founders to help them do the same thing, help them ideate, validate, test, launch, and scale. So I got my reps in there, and then basically I was shopping for golf clubs, and I had this idea of where's the Harry's razor of golf? Why is there cheap and overpriced? Why can't we just have like classically designed, high quality, right in the middle? And so we moved into validation of that concept, and just test after test, it kept validating, and we were driving very low cost purchase intent. And so we just kept going. We paused in early 2020 because golf courses were closed, and it felt like, well, one, validation kind of came to a screeching halt at the end of 2019, where I said, you know what, this is going so well, and there's so much interest in this, and we're just driving email collection and purchase intent for pennies. It's like, let's just turn on a pre-order and kind of have our own Kickstarter here and see if we can just drive pre-orders to fund this whole thing. We turn on pre-orders, crickets, nothing.
Wow.
You're like, what happened? Everybody said they wanted it. How come nobody's throwing down?
Well, it's amazing when everyone, when you come up with an idea, and I've been through this, and you come up with an idea and people are like, that's a great idea. It's like, will you invest in it? Well, it's not that great. It's like, would you buy one? Well, maybe for somebody else, but not for me. It's like, then why would you say that? Yeah.
So we were driving people to the site through digital marketing. So it wasn't like our friends kind of giving us a false, I like it. But what we learned through more surveys through the website was people love the idea, love the design, love the price. Who the hell are you guys? Right? When I go to throw down $800, I can't find you on YouTube. I don't see any press. I don't see much social media presence. Like, now I'm getting a little weirded out that you're asking for money. So so we kind of paused. Golf was closed, and then come into summer 2020, and we knew what we needed to do. We knew we needed to create brand credibility before we could turn on sales. And we knew that we kind of needed product. We needed to turn on a real sale, not just a pre-order. So raised a little money, got a team together, raised a little money to pay that team. Everybody refused to take money. I've always been kind of pitched equity, and I don't like that, because until I've proven it more, I don't want to pitch equity to a team. So I didn't pitch anybody on equity. Tried to pay everybody, and one by one, they were all like, actually, what's more interesting than cash would be to get some equity in this thing. So we raised the money. We were able to put it into the digital advertising and to get our first run of clubs built. And we spent from July to September trying to build brand credibility, social media, product photography, new website, PR push. We launched September 1 with the goal of selling one set a day. We said, if we can sell, because we hadn't sold any, right? We turned on pre-orders and nothing sold. So we were like, all right, guys, if we can sell a set a day, this will be validated to the next phase.
And at that point, how large was your team, and how long had you been building this to that point?
I think the idea,
were sucking money down here.
The idea was only about a year old, and we weren't sucking money because this was kind of the side hustle. I was still working at the venture. I was still working at the venture studio, working with large enterprises and early stage founders, and doing this on the side. And so were all these co-founders now that said, hey, we'll take equity instead of cash. So everybody's working for free. We're just putting money into hosting and product and digital marketing. So it was pretty efficient. And so our first order was 100 sets, right? Minimum order quantity with a new manufacturer. And we said, let's sell a set a day for the quarter, and we'll be a win. And we sold out in 2 weeks and we sold 20 sets on the last day when we finally had to shut it down.
Oh my.
Yeah. So that was, so now we're over this next hurdle of validation, right? People love the idea, wouldn't throw down money. We build some brand credibility, and we turn on sales, and it works once again. And pretty much from that day until now has just been a race to try to keep up with this demand. We got reviewed by Rick Shields. That was a big deal. We got written up in Forbes, golf.com, Golf Magazine. And really all that's happened between then and now is we're just trying to keep up with demand. We're generating demand with our marketing team, but we're just trying to keep up and get enough supply. So we've been through a couple rounds of funding. The team's now around 20 people, and we're just trying to, now we're in golf season and we're back ordered, hundreds and hundreds of sets, and we're working on getting those delivered, and we're trying to pace ourselves now to not get in that situation again.
Sure.
So we're kind of like, which is not great timing, right? Right now we'd be better off to be ramping up everything, but we just have not been quite poised to do that.
Wow. Supply chain, and everybody's supply chain is screwed up no matter what, but still you can't anticipate the amount of orders that you're going to have anyway. So it's hard. You don't want you don't want it all to be sitting in your garage waiting to be sent out.
Yeah, you got the two sides. You got the finance team saying the last thing you want is to be sitting on inventory. And then you got the customers that are like, I want my clubs. Stop selling me something you don't have.
Yeah, the last thing I want is to wait, right? I mean, I ordered a new monitor a month ago, and all along it's going to be shipped on May 10th, right? And then on May 10th, I get an email from going, now it's going to be shipped on June 16th. It's like, whoa, wait. Let's take another time out. I need to come back to a couple things you've said, and we'll do that right after this. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we get a call from Switzerland and meet Jaacob Bowden. Jaacob is a golf instructor, an online influencer, and club designer whom, when we met in 2009, was being featured in a documentary of athletes who were chasing a dream. For Jaacob, it was to play in the 2010 U.S. Open and Open Championship.
When I'm standing behind the ball, I'll put my hand on my stomach. What that does for me is it kind of a grounding of my energy. I feel the energy come out of my head and it comes down into my stomach. And also when I'm doing that, I might think of some roots growing out of my feet to get a more calm and relaxed and zen-like state. Because when I'm in that kind of state, it's more conducive to like playing from the zone and hit a good shot that it was a 10 shot. All of my best shots have been relaxed shots. So things that I can do to make sure that I'm relaxed before the shot really go a long way towards helping me hit good shots. I may still hit a bad shot, but try and implement things like that into the pre-shot routine so that it gives me the best possible chance of hitting a good shot.
That's Jaacob Bowden this week on episode 113 of Golf Smarter Mulligans, being released this Friday. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are available from where you're listening to this podcast right now. Please subscribe and follow both, so that you can get a brand new episode of either when it downloads to your favorite listening device. Earlier on, Gabe, you were talking about how people have been brainwashed, right, into what equipment to buy. And then you use later after that, you use the word duped. So what is it that's being said, or how is that being done that's manipulating this audience to think that they need to buy the major name brands?
Let me read you a customer testimonial.
Sure.
Customer says, I'm simply your average golfer who lives in Lake Tahoe, California. I first heard about Stix through an advertisement on Instagram. I do love what Stix is doing for the golf community, and I know how much a review from Rick Shields can boost business and awareness for any brand. Everyday golfers around the world are being told they should spend more money for more performance, stiffness, technology, etc. But the average golfer won't notice a huge difference spending a huge amount of money. That's why I love Stix. It's simplistic and guaranteed to just work. So that's perspective from not me, but from a customer, from people who find us. That's how they see the landscape as well. One of our investors has a PXG set that he bought before Stix, and he'll be the first to tell you, you cannot buy your way into a better golf game. He can play with Stix and he can play with PXG, and he's going to get the same score. And we've seen that across the board. We even have a video by GM Golf on YouTube, Garrett Clark, who did a comparison of big brands versus Stix. He did a self scramble where he used the big brands and he used Stix just to show like they all perform pretty dang close. And even Rick Shields, you were mentioning earlier, it's an incremental improvement. Rick Shields did a Sim 2 versus like a 3-year-old TaylorMade. And he's like, I get about another 2 yards, and for all the hype, it's not a massive improvement. Like there's incremental improvement, but you think about all the dollars that go into the R&D over those 3 years to get another 2 yards. And if that's what people are willing to pay, the difference between under $1,000 to paying $3,000 is for those 2 yards. Okay. That is the right move for some people.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching Rick Shields do the review on your website. I saw the video, and the fact that he's like, great, I just opened a new sleeve of balls and hit 2 of them in the water with these clubs. The brainwashing part to me is, oh boy, I don't make friends doing this, is the PGA, is the PGA Tour. I mean, it seems as if the wall that the small manufacturers have to climb is competing with what's being played with on the tour, because people think if Rory or Phil, and I can give you all these first names that you'll know who I'm talking about, Jordan and Brooks and all these, if they're playing a product and then in between them playing that product, there's ads doing testimonials that these guys are playing that product, that's brainwashing, right? I mean, that is the thing that you have to compete against. And I guess for your sake, thanks goodness for social media, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the new age, and we're going after a different demographic over different channels. We, from the beginning, I said we don't want to be anything like any other golf brands. We want to be a very different golf brand that looks like it's we want to be the brand for everybody. So everything you'll see about our design and our site and our messaging, we want to reach 80% of golfers that we think Stix is great for. You've got the top 10%. Yeah, they should be trying to find the most tightly dialed in high-end set that they can and get professionally fitted. And then you got the starters that probably shouldn't be spending more than they need to until they figure out whether they like it or not. But everybody in between, men, women, teenagers, seniors, tall, short, all shapes and colors, we think Stix is a great fit for, which is why we have just a very minimalist design, because there is no men's iPhone and women's iPhone and senior iPhone. There's just iPhone. It's simple, it's beautiful, and it works.
But now there's a purple one. You think that's not directed at somebody specific? It's like our latest announcement, the new iPhone, it's purple. Really?
That's which is funny because everybody wraps it in a case anyways. Yeah. So you even think about but women love our black on black on black. The state of women's golf is a bit condescending to women, and most of the women we talk to feel that way. Why is women's flex whippier than senior flex? And why do I need pink clubs? Like most of the women we talk to just feel borderline insulted by women's clubs. We even took our team into Golf Galaxy, and the women on our team were asking them about women's clubs, and like, oh yeah, those are back in the corner there. Walk to the back of the store to find women's clubs. Like it's an afterthought. And we just want to be universal, accessible, diverse for everybody.
It's a fascinating direction to take, especially because the way we've been trained or duped, we've been trained to look at golf clubs and things. But you saw a huge hole, and it really is a hole that nobody even saw before. It feels like they just didn't recognize it.
Yeah, or they didn't care, big business. You got Nike got out of golf for a variety of reasons. Maybe that's because they just saw, why are we playing in a $2 billion market?
Yeah, it's not big enough for us.
It's not big enough. Even if they could take the whole market share, would it be big enough? So the void, I think, maybe the big brands have learned, maybe it's a false positive, but maybe what they've thought is those aren't good customers. They're going to buy once, they're never going to buy again. That's too expensive, right? Let's just keep selling to this top 5 million set that's buying stuff every year. That's where we're going to have a $2 billion market. And maybe they learned that, maybe they didn't. I don't know why they decided to not play in the middle. I mean, did Gillette keep a mid-range? I mean, they kind of did. Gillette kept the Mach 3 even when they had the Mach 5. I still use a Mach 3. So when you got that
beard. You don't even shave. What are you talking about? I'm looking at you and you're telling me, you're telling me that what blade you use. Like, no, you don't. You can't lie to me like that. Well, we should talk a bit about the product itself. I mean, we've really tapped into a marketplace, and I think it's a fascinating marketplace that Golf Smarter community. There are a lot of dedicated golfers that want to know the nuance of every piece of gear that comes out. But I think that there's a tremendous amount of people who are listening that are like, yeah, I'm new to the game, or I'm just, I like getting these lessons, but I don't care that much. And yeah, I think it makes sense to get fitted, but the classic line, I'm just not good enough yet to get fitted. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to wait until I get better or I get consistent, and then I'll get fitted. And it's like, no, actually that's backwards. If you want to get more consistent, get fitted. If you're willing to spend that kind of money, for a new set of brand name clubs. But if you're just a casual golfer, which most people are, because most people don't break 100, let alone 90, then this is really a perfect opening for you to jump in.
Yeah, 50% of golfers still shoot over 100, so you got half the market sitting there. And on the comment about fitting and not being good enough, when we did our team fitting, the guy was real careful. He was a golf instructor, and he was doing the fitting, and he was saying, hey, I try to keep really separate. I try not to coach you on your swing during a fitting, because I need to get you a fitting that works for your swing. So it is a little bit of a chicken or the egg of, do I pay for a fitting that fits my current swing, or do I get coaching to try to get the swing I want, then get fitted for that? So it is a little bit of a conundrum for people. Am I good enough for a fitting? If I'm swinging crazy, do I really want to get a shaft or a fitting that's going to work well with that? Because then if I improve my swing or change it, then maybe suddenly I've got the wrong fitting. So it is an interesting dilemma.
It is. And one that we'll figure out during this commercial break. But when you have clubs in your bag and they're either old, hand-me-downs, a mixed set, it's not like you should care if people notice. But if you're trying to look like a golfer, you're out there, and you've got you have to wear the right clothes. You got to tuck your shirt, and like if you're going for it and looking at, you want to have something that looks like, oh, these are interesting, because people are going to notice the clubs, especially these clubs are really pretty.
Thank you.
What I've seen on the website, they're really pretty. So it would definitely catch somebody's eye. That when you're on the tee box. Let's talk about the clubs themselves. Customization. Is there any customization available to your customer?
We offer 5 heights standard, and then we go up and down by the ½ inch. So you can get plus half, plus an inch, minus half, minus an inch. Because again, we're trying to be as accessible as possible. So we want to make clubs. We have righties and lefties. We got tall and short. And then on the flexes, we've got stiff, regular, and A flex. So we're trying to accommodate the vast majority of golfers within reason.
Well, it's good to hear that you have lefties clubs, because I do get emails a lot going, oh, I really like you had that conversation with this guy, but he doesn't make left-handed wedges. And it's like,
Yeah.
sorry, it's
Yeah.
up to him. And so where is your manufacturing done, and it's based on what design?
So our manufacturing is done where 90% of golf manufacturing is done over in China, where you've got some of the best volume for the best price and the best quality. So, the goal of Stix is to get the best quality clubs in people's hands at this mid price point. So we're doing as much as we can to accommodate that. We explored U.S. manufacturing, we explored 3D printing, we explored as much as we could to get creative. But at the end of the day, the best way to accomplish our goal was to use manufacturers in China, which we're continuing to evolve on that process. And then as far as the design, one of my co-founders who came from Proto Ventures, Kyle Buzzard, is a world-class industrial designer. He designed the original Chromecast. So he's incredible. Everything he touches is incredible. And so he did the first and the second version design. And, my background is design as well. But we worked with the manufacturers on kind of a standard set, and then we modified it mostly stylistically, but kind of picked OEM clubs that were close to what we wanted, and then manipulated from there. So we don't have a big R&D team like getting crazy down in the weeds on the technology. We're just saying what's important is the material. So we use the highest end materials: titanium, beta titanium on drivers, 17.4 stainless on hybrids and woods, and then the 431 stainless on irons and wedges, graphite shafts, rubber grips. When we first started, all the irons and wedges were a PVD finish, which is kind of industry standard. And the black aesthetic is super important to us. And the PVD just did not hold up as well as we or the customers would like. So we've now upgraded the V2s to a DLC to try to be as durable as we possibly can within the price point. And that's the thing that's crazy about this landscape, again, is we've been able to use really high-end finishes and materials and still build a business at this price point. And I think customers appreciate that.
And why black? Why was that so important to you guys?
This is actually a fun story. I told you early on, we did a lot of market validation testing, and we actually said, what would be really fun is if this was kind of a style play for golf, where it's not about the tech, it's about style. Because I care more about how my clubs look than them being super cutting edge. Again, we are providing solid technology that performs 100%. But in my buying process as a consumer, I kind of assume everything's going to perform. And I think that's somewhat true. All these clubs are going to play fine out in the market. And the differentiators are going to be, like we talked about with TaylorMade 3 years ago to today, they've picked up 2 yards on their drivers, right? But if I go by even Strata, we've used Strata and focus groups, and they perform just fine. You can buy a set of Strata and go play golf, and you're not going to be significantly held back by the equipment. You're going to experience a perception that most people won't want. Walking on a course with a set of Strata, people are probably going to recognize it and think it's your first round. But back to the black finish. So we said, what if this was just a style play, and you could pick your head color, your shaft color, and your grip color, and it was kind of like this fun experience for consumers that are more casual. So we ran a campaign to a landing page where people could customize all those things on their clubs to see what people would pick. 100% of over 300 purchase intents said the exact same thing. Out of all these multiple options, black on black on black, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. Given the option, that's what people want. So we said, well, that simplifies the business, because doing all those variants was going to be complicated. So that was our first test. Lesson learned. Awesome. And then we went back with the second test and we said, okay, we know people like this price point, but what are they willing? What are they willing to sacrifice and pay for a certain price point? So the second test was, do you want premium materials at $7.99, or do you want not premium materials for $3.99, half the price? And basically the non-premium was aluminum and zinc and steel shafts. Like that's the cheapest stuff you can build in golf, and you'll see some brands out there that still do that. So aluminum driver and woods, zinc irons, wedges, putter. That's the cheapest thing you can do. And then on the higher end was titanium, stainless, and graphite. Okay, side by side option for people, more traffic driven to the site, similar audience. Surprisingly, it was a 51 to 49% split. Which is interesting because you're like, people would be willing to get a super cheap set with not great materials, because literally all they care about is the way it looks and the price. Like that's literally their shopping criteria. They don't even care about the quality.
Yep, I'm sure.
And we said, okay, 50-50, we don't want to build a brand that's not high quality. Like that's not interesting to us, and I don't think that's going to create long-term value. Even though people say they want that, after they played with it for a while, they'd probably be like, okay, I bought something cheap. So, those were some of our learnings: black on black on black, premium materials. So again, we validated this thing against a market every step of the way. So that's what drove us to go black on black on black, premium materials at this price point. Because we also did some price fluctuation tests. What's kind of the threshold for people of what they want to spend. So Stix is data driven in everything we do. As you heard from my background, I'm a startup guy. I'm a venture studio guy. I'm all about validate, iterate, test, learn at every step. So even since Stix has launched, we've continued that process. We started with a 12-piece set. We tried to sell it at $7.99. It didn't move very well. It flew off the shelves at $5.99 for a 12-piece set. And then we heard from customers, hey, I'd really like a bag. I'd really like head covers. I really need a gap wedge. This gap between pitch and sand is a big gap. So now V2 and the feedback of this finish isn't holding up as well as I would have hoped, which are pretty much all the same things that Rick Shields said. And so we listen, we care, we talk to our customers. No message goes unanswered. We want to learn. So now we launch V2, full 14-piece set, DLC coating with a bag and head covers at about a $900 price point, which what we saw was people knew that if you bought a 12-piece set for $5.99, I think the reason we couldn't move that price point up is because people knew I still got to go buy a bag. I still got to go buy head covers. I still might need a wedge set. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, what most of these people want is to spend under $1,000 to get everything they need.
Yep. And that's the price point. I'm really glad that you went black on black on black, because just imagining myself seeing colored clubs, and I'm thinking IMAX now, but thinking how, a variety of color, or even phones, the variety of colors, but seeing them on golf clubs. If I was walking up to a tee and I noticed that somebody had some clubs that were let's say not traditional colors, right? I'd go, oh, that's cute. Oh, interesting, right? And you're like, meh. But the black on black, I can see walking up to going, ooh, yeah. These are, oh, you've got Stix. Oh, these are cool. It just, that's an identifiable beyond the logo. And, I'm sure you worked on that, but just like, that's an identifiable aspect to it. That's really, really smart.
Thank you. Yeah. Our customers get a lot of attention for their clubs, and,
sure.
and generally it's very positive. We have differentiated as Kyle, our designer, always talks about, how do you stand out in a noisy room?
There you go.
You'd be the only one being quiet. In a room full of everybody in bright colors screaming about how great they are, we're the quiet, stealth looking clubs that aren't hyping our tech or hyping, how we're going to fix your game. We're just trying to create a community of people who enjoy the game, value design, and quality products. And you find in the millennial consumer, we love these brands. We love Warby Parker. We love Allbirds. We love Vice. We love Harry's. We love Casper. We love Bird scooters. Like, this generation is more interested in buying the newcomer to a space than going with the older brand. I think there's a mentality in our generation that doesn't trust the big brands, because there's been so many Kickstarter brands that come out and kind of call BS on what's going on and provide an incredible product at a better price. And I think our generation is looking for that. We've even had customers say, "Oh my gosh, Stix, there's finally a Kickstarter brand in golf clubs. This is what I was looking for. Somebody's going to come in and disrupt, come in and do something differently. I'm tired of seeing all this overhyped tech on the Golf Channel." People are literally going on Kickstarter and looking for the brands that are coming in to disrupt and do things differently.
Are you a disruptor?
Yes, sir. I think so. Like I said, if it's a $2 billion annual U.S. market, I would like to take a piece of that, but also expand that to a group that nobody cares about, to a group that golfs occasionally, enjoys it, but doesn't take it too seriously. Now, those comments have come back to bite me. I have had people reach out and say, "Hey, I love Stix since I heard you say something like that on a podcast," because I take golf very seriously. It's what customers have said to me. And now I feel like Stix isn't for me. Now, we had a guy post on our Facebook group and say, "Hey, I'm an 8 handicap. Are Stix good enough for me?" And all our other customers basically sold the guy. because even though we are not trying to overhype our tech, they are, look at our reviews. They are solid clubs. People love them. They feel incredible. They look incredible. They can work for almost everybody. Do I see them on the tour anytime soon? Not likely. We build for forgiveness, not workability. And I always love talking to golfers. I talked to one in Denver who had been sold Mizuno muscle backs, and he was just regretting, feeling like he got duped. He's like, "Man, I hit him good during the fitting. I got sold on these muscle backs because I could shape my shot." And he's like, "I don't want to shape my shot. I want to hit it straight, and I want it to be forgiving. And I wish I didn't have these." Because you get sold like, "Oh, blades are for the real ballers," And so suddenly you feel like you need to pursue being blade worthy, so you can shape your shots. And most people are like, "I don't want to shape. The shape is never a good thing for me." I need something with a big sweet spot. And that's what we're doing.
Let's take one more quick time out. A couple more questions. I was ready to wrap this up, but you're not letting me go here because it's too interesting to me. We'll be right back. Hey, this is Fred asking you to stick around for a minute because this is not a traditional advertisement. Actually, it's not even an ad. So, Golf Smarter is a passion project for me. I've never made much money doing it, but that's never been the motivation to continue interviewing guests on the sole topic of golf. I do it because I'm fascinated. I enjoy the process. It's cool to try new products when they're offered, and more than anything, I continue to generate new content here because of the listener feedback and friendships that have developed over the years. Sure, I've spent time trying to figure out how to generate a couple more dollars each year, but the main goal has always been to have this podcast generate enough to pay for playing golf. There are a lot of options out there to create memberships, offer bonus materials, but the fact is, my work of being a podcast producer for other agencies and companies and my services in video, graphic design, and photography really make it hard to justify a lot more hours spent on this show. That's why we have advertisers. But again, it's far from significant, and it allows me to justify this to the most important boss I have, my wife. So with a lot of soul searching, I've come up with a different way for you to show your support. Go to golfsmarter.com, where we now have a donate button that runs through PayPal to my one-man shop, Green Creative. There's no set amount. It's completely up to you to give as much or as little as you'd like. You can do it once, or you can make it recurring donation. Again, go to golfsmarter.com and click on donate. Honestly, I've waited a long time to do this, and it's not easy for me to ask, but we have a unique friendship, and you clearly appreciate what I give to the relationship. So because we can't get together for you to pick up the next round of golf or cocktails, I really appreciate your support. Gabe, you just said he's going to be on the tour? Not likely. Do you care?
I don't care.
I didn't think so.
We've had opportunities to be, in different places. And what I always say to my team and others that I talk to is we want to be as unconventional as we can in our approach to golf. I want to be everywhere no one else is. We were looking at getting into beta stores at one point. I would rather endorse a pro skateboarder who golfs than a pro golfer. I would rather, because what I want to do is make golf look accessible to all types. I think there's a wide perception in a lot of circles that golf is not for them. It's too old, it's too rich, it's too exclusive, it's too uptight. And that's not been my experience with golf. I understand that. I've been in situations where I feel that, but that I have not acclimated to that. I do not want to ever be that. I love municipal courses. I love playing 9 holes. I love a good executive course. I mean, the majority of my golf story has been pretty, my upbringing is pretty blue collar, and I'm not more attracted to more high-end things generally. I like the smart purchase, the stylish purchase, and I like a good deal, whether that's a green fee or a set of clubs or a set of glasses or a razor. I like to feel like I made a smart choice. I'm trying to back up into what your actual question was. I'm ranting.
It's okay. It's funny because a lot of my friends see me as an early adopter when it comes to technology and stuff. And I say, you know what? I'm a discerning early adopter. If I like it, I'm going to jump on it. No question about it. If it appeals to me on function and form, right, then I'm going to jump on it. But there are things that I'm like, yeah, it's good, but it's not there yet. And actually, I've been an Apple fanboy since 1984. When the first Mac came out, I bought it a month after it came out. It was my first computer ever. But I didn't, there has been times that I've stood in line at 6 a.m. to buy a product when it was being released, but not for the iPhone. I waited till the 6, not the watch. I bought the watch when it was a 6 because I kept saying, it's just not, Yeah. But then there are things like, the DJI Osmo Pocket camera. I jumped on it immediately. The second one came out. I gave mine another way and bought it another one. So there are things there are things about, here's what appeals to me with Stix. Here's what I love about it. I love the idea of having a second set in my garage ready to go when I have a friend in from out of town who didn't travel with their clubs. Oh yeah. I love having that second set in my garage because my wife, I bought her a Costco set years ago and it sucks. It's terrible. And I hate even when she carries it out of the house, but she only plays a couple times a year. But I'd like to have that set there. I have a practice area in my backyard. I'd love to have that second set sitting there for that. Yeah. I know friends that have a second home, right? I'm at that age where I have friends who have second homes. And they're like, but we're going for the weekend and I'd play, but I don't want to carry my bag. Have a second set, that's affordable and playable. Yeah. That to me is that market spot, but it's a small segment compared to what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, we have people who've done that, bought it for their second home so they don't have to travel with it, which
Mm-hmm.
makes a ton of sense. I just took clubs to Denver, and even the fact that you got to just get to the airport earlier to check a bag almost bit us on the way home. And it's bit me before where I actually missed a flight because I couldn't check my clubs and I had to get another flight, and that got very expensive. In hindsight, I should have just left my clubs for somebody else and, not bought the second flight and used that for new clubs. Um, but yeah, those are great ideas.
You're welcome. um, so you had also mentioned your first design and then your second design. Where are you
Yeah.
now, and what changes?
So V2 is live right now,
Okay.
in pre-order. They will be delivering in early June, which I know a lot of people are anxiously awaiting.
June
But
of
yeah, so
2021.
yeah, yeah,
V2 is
yeah,
live.
yeah. V2 is live. So bags are live, head covers are live, 14-piece set is live, which now we have a 3-piece wedge set as well. Gloves are in the works, towels are in the works, some other things are in the works. That's a little bit of the product roadmap.
Is that something that you're noticing, that it's like, okay, we've put out these clubs. Oh, but we really can't sustain a company with just a set of clubs. We've got to really have different offerings available, and keep growing that to.
We haven't hit that inflection point yet where we're feeling that. Like right now,
Hmm.
we're so young and new, we could chip away at the club market probably forever. I think there's enough people that will continue to fit this mold for a long time. I think there is the concern from investors for sure of, well, if you're selling to people who haven't bought for 10 years, when's their next purchase, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and how many of those can you continue to activate year after year? I think still a lot. But it's more just customer demand. Customers are like, I got my bag. I love you guys. What else can I get? What else are you going to make? I want more. So we're always just trying to respond to that.
Awesome. And how can people find you guys, get in touch, get their questions answered, and make an order?
Yeah, you can find us at Stix.golf. You can also find us with handle at Stix Golf Gear on Facebook and Instagram.
Stix Golf Gear.
Yep,
Okay. And it's STIX.
STIX.
Well, this is one of those stories that I absolutely love, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us. This was great, and for also letting me pick your brain and throw things up against the wall, see if they sticks with you tonight.
Thanks, Fred.
And of course, I will leave a link to Stix Golf in today's show notes and encourage you to use the link provided, because Golf Smarter is a Stix Golf affiliate. So I really hope that you use the link I'm providing so they're aware that you heard about them from us. And this is your final notice to submit your best take to be included in episode 800 of Golf Smarter. That's only a few weeks away. Actually, I originally set this deadline because I was supposed to be leaving this week for a vacation in Mexico, but my wife broke her foot, so we postponed that till fall. Anyway, I've already received some congratulations from former guests and great comments from listeners on their favorite takeaway from Golf Smarter. But if you would like to win a copy of Tony Manzoni's Lost Fundamental video, all you have to do is tell us your greatest golf lesson you've learned from Golf Smarter, or submit a question that you'd like me to answer. If we use it on episode 800, the video is yours. To submit your question or best lesson, just call our Golf Smarter hotline at 415-761-1498. This weekend is the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, and your deadline to leave your message is at the close of the event this Sunday, June 20th. Again, the toll-free number is 415-761-1498, and I will leave that in the show notes and on today's blog as well. Please follow at Golf Smarter on social media, especially on Instagram, and please subscribe to Golf Smarter TV on YouTube for additional and different golf content. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on what you'd like to hear in an upcoming episode, I'd love to hear from you. Just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.